On News Hour tonight, David Mark and Akpabio clash over electronic transmission of election results. Anti-snake venom victims urge free treatment as single vial hit 250,000 naira. Visually impaired student join Katsina Quranic recitation competition. And on the foreign scene, Uganda and Tanzania leaders pledge enhanced cooperation. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Idris Laye Baturi. Chairman of the African Democratic Congress ADC, David Mark, has urged the National Assembly to pass the Electoral Act amendment with provisions for electronic transmission of results, while allowing the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to determine the feasibility of real-time transmission. Mark said the priority should be on passing the law rather than engaging in argument over INEC's operational capacity, stressing that the Commission should be given the flexibility to decide what is practicable on election day. His comments come amid growing controversy over the amendment process. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has defended the Senate approach, saying critics are judging lawmakers based on an incomplete legislative process.
Your Excellency, my brother and friend, a very distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Godswill Akpabio. My friend and brother, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, the author of the book, and his dear wife, that there should be electronic transmission. Let INEC decide whether they can do or they cannot do it. Don't speak for INEC, just speak for the National Assembly. And what the public wants is, let there be electronic transmission. Now, if INEC cannot do it, it is in their own problem. That's their own problem. Not for you to speak for INEC. It's as simple as that.
Electoral Act amendment that is incompleted. We have not completed it, but they are already on television. You see all sort of panels. Because they don't understand lawmaking. They don't even know that even the one in the Senate is not completed until we look at the votes and proceedings. So, when we bring out the votes and proceedings, any senator has a right to rise up and say on clause 3, this was what we agreed upon. And if those who are recording through the verbatim recorder disagree or agree, we amend it before we approve the votes and proceedings. That is the only time you can now talk about what the Senate has done or what the Senate has not done. But already people are on television abusing the Senate, talking about the Senate, even when what we did has not yet been approved by the same Senate. It's incomplete. Your Excellency, see how you are better at us. Once you decide, nobody will question and they will understand. But in our own case, we have so many processes, from moving the motion, from bringing it up, going to passing through second reading, and then going to public hearing, coming back to this, and even in votes and proceedings that are yet to be approved, people are already concluding.
The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has warned of possible nationwide protest and election boycott over what it called confusion in the Senate regarding electronic transmission of election results. The union said the Senate's action risks undermining public confidence in Nigeria's electoral process, calling for an immediate, clear explanation of the amended Electoral Act provisions. The warning comes after the Senate rejected a proposed amendment to make electronic transmission mandatory, instead leaving the procedure at INEC's discretion. The NLC stressed that transparent, real-time transmission is vital, insisting that the failure to mandate it could spark mass action across the country. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has directed senators to reconvene for an emergency plenary session on Tuesday, February 10, 2026. The directive follows the Senate rejection of a proposal seeking mandatory electronic transmission of election results. In a statement by the Clerk of the Senate, Emmanuel Odo, all senators were asked to attend the sitting, which is scheduled to begin at 12 noon. The National Youth Service Corps NYSC is facing a growing mobilization crisis as hundreds of thousands of Nigerian graduates who have completed their studies are yet to be mobilized for national service. With delays dating as far back as 2022 and a backlog now estimated at over 500,000 graduates, questions are being raised about the capacity of the scheme, its funding, and the wider implications for youth employment and national development. Victoria Tokolo spoke to Lagos residents on the mobilization crisis facing the NYSC. Now reports.
The National Youth Service Corps, a mandatory one-year national service program for Nigerian graduates, is currently grappling with one of the most severe mobilization backlogs in its history. Available data indicates that more than 5,000 graduates are awaiting mobilization, with some having completed their studies as far back as 2022. Several factors have been linked to the crisis, including funding pressures following the increase in the monthly allowance of corps members to 77,000 naira. However, some Lagos residents and affected graduates point to administrative challenges, particularly incomplete documentation, as a contributing factor. According to them, many graduates have been unable to present the required documents needed for mobilization. Parents of waiting graduates also lament the prolonged delay, expressing concern over rising unemployment.
The people that have graduated, they should not stay at home. They should find something doing. And government should help them in terms of empowerment. Should help them to empower them, try to do one or two things instead of staying at home. So that would be my advice. Because government, the institution will continue producing graduates year and year. Every year, we continue producing graduates.
My own advice for them, let them go and look for something doing, something like handwork. Something like handwork, it will help them. It will help them in life. Because when you have handwork, you're a madam of your own, you're a girl of your own. And when you work in a company, moreover, when you work in a company, if they do not sell well, they will not pay you on time, they will not pay you.
At least the government is supposed to have standard background. Immediately they are passing out, at least if they don't have collar job, federal government should try to encourage them, maybe on their own self-employed. That will at least ease the percentage of unemployment of our graduates in the country.
This country is very bad. I have two graduates at home. There is no work for them. Look at me now. If I just set myself to go school. Or my husband, before she died, he suffered to give them money to go school. Upon there, my son is at home. No work, no anything.
Mobilize means you have not been posted at all. That means you are not ready for NYSC. So it's not the government's inability to pay up the 77K. They have actually paid. So it's not the inability to pay. It's inability graduates are not providing adequate documents for them to be mobilized.
For many graduates, the inability to complete the NYSC program have become a major barrier to securing employment, as several organizations still require an NYSC discharge certificate as a condition for recruitment. Some Lagos residents argue that increasing the budgetary allocation to the NYSC alone may not solve the problem. They stress the need for broader economic stability and sustainable policy that creates opportunities for young Nigerians.
No fewer than 184 persons have been arrested by the Plateau State Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force following coordinated overnight raids across parts of Jos and surrounding areas. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Philemon Daffy, described the operation as a major breakthrough in the fight against human trafficking and child exploitation. He said the intelligence-led raids were carried out simultaneously late Thursday into early Friday. Those arrested include pregnant women, minors, and adults, while several vulnerable persons were rescued from exploitative conditions. All suspects are currently undergoing profiling, with those found culpable to be prosecuted. Duffy condemned child prostitution, describing it as human trafficking and a gross violation of the child's rights law, warning that offenders and adult patrons will face the full weight of the law. He also announced a seal, seize, and demolish policy against properties and facilities linked to trafficking and child exploitation.
I'm here to inform you that the operation was an overwhelming success, resulting in several strategic arrests and the rescue of numerous vulnerable citizens who had been trapped in the shadows of our ill society. This victory was not a product of chance or mere luck. It was the culmination of rigorous learning and the strategic application of data. We have spent the last several months meticulously auditing our previous operations, identifying where our strategies were brittle and where traffickers found gaps to exploit. We have turned those hard-learned lessons and past weaknesses into the bedrock of our current tactical framework.
Victims of snake bites in parts of the country are groaning under the scarcity and rising cost of anti-snake venom ASV, a life-saving drug required for treatment, with a single vial now selling for as much as 250,000 naira. Patients and their families are calling on government to urgently provide the drug free of charge in public health facilities. Trust TV's Hassan Lawan Koli visited the snakebite treatment and research hospital in Kaltungo and filed these reports.
Snakebite remain a major public health challenge, especially in rural communities where encounters with snakes are frequent. However, the situation is being worsened by the scarcity and high cost of anti-snake venom, the only effective treatment for snakebite victims. Tasiu, a 9-year-old boy, was brought to the snakebite treatment and research hospital after he was bitten by an unidentified snake on Monday. His guardian, Malam Adamu, narrated the difficulties he faced while trying to bring the child to the facility from neighboring Taraba State. The treatment is very costly. From Philia to this facility, I paid 20,000 naira just to bring him here, not to mention the cost of anti-snake venom vial. It is important for the government to urgently find a sustainable intervention in this regard. According to the patient and caregivers, the price of a single vial of ASV, currently estimated at about 250,000 naira, has made access to treatment extremely difficult. Many say the high cost forces delays that sometimes result in severe complications or even death.
Some of them come to the hospital after maybe taking some concoction or herbs at home. And when they feel that they cannot treat them, they send them to the hospital. This is number one, because when they come here, they require a lot of things. Number one, they need anti-snake venom, and which is not readily available. Also, is a problem.
We were told to buy anti-snake venom for 250,000 naira, which we did, and the expenses are still paying off. How can an ordinary person afford this? Government should help us with free drugs. Health authorities at the Kaltungo facility said efforts are ongoing to address the challenge, expressing hope that local manufacturing of anti-snake venom will provide a long-term and sustainable solution to recurring shortages.
One of the pillars of the establishment of this facility is actually, first of all, started with development of the anti-venom, and of course, leading to production. The plan is actually to reach a level where we can have a production of anti-venom within the country. In fact, most likely within the facility, being a highly burdened area. But you know, these are issues of policy, these are issues of plans which are usually affected by change of governments from time to time. And as such, at this stage that we are, we've actually developed the ETITAT antivenom was actually developed in this facility. And of course, it's currently being produced. The Equitab ICP part is produced in Costa Rica, and also the G part is produced in Britain. And of course, at the level of the facility, we are still on advocacy and looking at the way the federal government and the state government has brought out its attention back to the facility. Now we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Standing here at the Snakebite Treatment and Research Hospital, Kaltungo, health workers say the rising cost and limited availability of free anti-snake venom continue to put pressure on both medical personnel and the patient, as many patients from rural communities and neighboring states are coming here without the money to pay for the life-saving drugs.
He says local production will not only reduce cost, but also ensure steady availability of the drug across health centers. Authorities at the hospital revealed that over 1,000 snakebite cases were recorded last year, with 54 deaths largely linked to delayed or inadequate access to anti-snake venom.
The truth is that anti-venom is very, very expensive. And currently a vial costs around 250,000 per vial. And some of those patients may require 2-3. And interestingly, the demographics of those patients are from low socioeconomic class. These are people that have gone to the farm looking for a source of livelihood, that's farming, herding, and all that, and then end up being bitten by snakes. So you can imagine, for them to acquire this money, they have to either lease their farms, lands, or maybe sell some of them, or even sell maybe a cow or so before they will come and buy one buy. And talking about that, what if the patient will require 2-3 vials? So it's a very serious matter.
As snakebite incidents continue to affect vulnerable communities, victims and health workers are urging government at all levels to prioritize the provision of free anti-snake venom while fast-tracking plans for local production to save lives and reduce preventable deaths. Hassan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
A 62-year-old Lagos-based businessman, Noabuize Izueki, has been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano State, for attempting to traffic 95 jumbo-sized wraps of cocaine weighing 1,589 kilograms to China. A statement by the NDLEA spokesman, Femi Babafemi, said Izueki was apprehended during the outward clearance of passengers traveling to China via Addis Ababa on Ethiopian Airlines flight ET940. NDLEA officers subjected him to a body scan which confirmed he had ingested illicit drugs. The agency said the arrest was part of nationwide operations that led to multiple seizures and arrests across several states. In Abuja, operatives recovered 627.7 kilograms of skunk from a makeshift warehouse at Foams Plaza, Kubwa, while attempts to smuggle methamphetamine concealed in MP3 speakers from Enugu to Abuja and Kaduna were foiled. Primary health care centers in part of Kaduna State are facing severe dilapidation and a shortage of critical equipment and resources. Our correspondent Abubakar Bello visited the Angor Fulani Palladan Primary Health Care Facility in Sabangari local government area to assess the situation. Here is his report.
The Angwampulani Faladang Primary Healthcare Facility in Sabangari local government area, Kaduna State, is in serious dilapidated condition and facing significant challenges due to lack of essential equipment and resources. The facility's labor rooms are fully equipped to manage complicated deliveries. The facility, according to report, also lacks sufficient emergency response tool, putting mothers and newborns at risk of avoidable dangers such as delayed response during obstetric emergencies, birth, hysteria, and newborn complication. Speaking during the assessment visit, Mr. Ishaka Shitu Dayo, Executive Director, Mobilization for Empowerment and Development Association of Nigeria and Medan, said the situation in the hospital facility is poor and needing urgent attention.
Honestly, it's heartbroken because the assessment is really poor. Imagine a facility where people come to receive treatment, to deliver their children, they come for antenatal, they come for immunization, and you know, you meet something like this, even it can even lead to death because there is no equipment for safe delivery. The delivery room, there is no delivery bed. There's nothing.
Some of the specific gaps in the facility include inadequate delivery beds and mattresses, limited portal disposal and blood pressure monitors, insufficient oxygen concentrators and suction machines, lack of newborn resuscitation kits and radiant warmer, inadequate sterilization equipment and infection prevention materials, as well as poor lighting in labor and delivery rooms, especially at night. These gaps, according to Mr. Dayo, exposes mothers and newborns to serious health risk, including maternal hemorrhage, infection, and even death. The facility's inability to manage emergency situation often result in referral to distant facilities, further exacerbating the risk. The dilapidation of the facility is also as a result of inadequate resources and support, which Maiden aims to address through their projects.
We meet the in charge and the workers, the health workers are really in place, but the facility is nothing to write home about. You can see even the ward after delivery, all the beds in the ward are bad, the ceilings are bad, you know, the roof are bad, of which, based on what we had, that there is always during rainy season, water will fill up the whole world, which is not safe for both the mother, the newborn baby, and we need support for this, because it's really this is a low income area. They to even go to another facility, they don't have the truck.
Also commenting, the officer in charge of the Angwampulani Paladam Primary Healthcare Facility, Malam Isa Balarabi, said the facility is in dire need of assistance and support, both from government and other stakeholders. He decried the leaking of the roof, which enabled rain to flood the hospital during rainy season. He also complained of lack of water and power supply, coupled with inadequate medical equipment and facilities in the hospital. Malam Balarabe, who appreciated Maiden for their support, appealed to other donor organizations to come to their aid to save the lives of the vulnerable community. From Zaria, I am Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad reporting.
Nigerian troops under 17 Brigade Katsina have recovered 529 Russell animals after engaging suspected terrorists in a first-gun battle in Kafur local government area of Katsina State. The acting assistant director, Army Public Relations 17 Brigade, Captain Abayomi Adisa, disclosed this in a statement issued on Saturday in Katsina. He said the operation carried out by troops of the Forward Operating Base FOB Malumfashi was a major success. According to him, the terrorists opened fire on sighting the advancing troops, leading to a fierce exchange of gunfire. He said the troops responded with superior firepower, forcing the assailant to retreat into nearby bushes while abandoning part of the stolen livestock. Adisa disclosed that 14 cows were killed during the exchange of fire, as the terrorists reportedly used them as human shields. Suspected Boko Haram ISWAP insurgents have intercepted a convoy of trucks transporting beans from Mogundo to Maiduguri in Guzamala local government area of Borno State. The incident occurred on Saturday morning between Burmari and Garim Kashim villages. 5 trucks were attacked after the insurgents reportedly destroyed the vehicle's tires and set them ablaze. Fortunately, the drivers escaped and, with help of local residents, prevented further damage to the trailer. Security sources say insurgents deliberately target such convoys to frustrate government effort to relocate internally displaced persons IDPs to their ancestral homes. The Borno State government, alongside the military, recently repatriated the last batch of over 3,000 refugees from Cameroon. Workers have begun constructing huts and shelters in preparation for IDP resettlement in areas like Merari, which remain largely under insurgent control. The head of Woro village, Umar Salihu, has disclosed that bandits were able to operate freely in the community for about 10 hours due to inadequate security presence. Salihu said the attackers, who killed over 200 people, had initially sent him in a letter on January 10, 2026, claiming they were coming to preach. He further revealed that while some victims have been buried, others do not belong to the community and had to be taken elsewhere for proper burial. The tragic attack, which lasted nearly half a day, has left the community in fear, with residents questioning the effectiveness of security deployment in the area. Authorities have since deployed additional security forces to the area, but local residents remain reluctant to return due to fears of renewed attacks. Community and religious leaders in Borgu Kingdom have appealed to the federal government to urgently intervene as attacks continue in Agwara and Borgu local government areas of Niger State. Speaking at a press conference in Suleja, Catholic Bishop of Kontagora Diocese and Kan Niger State Chairman, Most Reverend Bulus Dawa Yohana, described the situation as dire, citing repeated attacks on residents, schools and police facilities. A community leader, Murtala Dantoro, said the burning of Agwara police station and a church has thrown communities into fear, disrupting education, farming and livelihoods. Also speaking, Muslim leader in Borgu Emirate, Muhammad Sani Ibrahim, disclosed that over 50 abducted persons, mostly children, remain in captivity. The leaders called for a permanent military base for fitted police posts, more personnel and stronger collaboration with local vigilantes to restore security in the area. The Kogi State government has ordered the temporary closure of selected markets and motor parks across part of Kogi West Senatorial District to support intensified security operations against terrorists, bandits and other criminal elements. The directive, announced by the Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, is aimed at cutting off logistics, restricting movement, and denying criminals access to food supplies and support during ongoing clearance operations. The closure affects selected communities across several local government areas, including Yagba East, Kogi, Mopamuro, and Ijumu. The state government said the measure is temporary and will be lifted after the security operation is concluded. Suspected kidnappers who abducted a medical doctor in Auchi, Edo State, and killed his younger brother have been arrested after they were allegedly identified by their victim at the hospital where he works. Sources said the suspects were apprehended after they took their children to the same hospital for medical treatment. The kidnapped doctor, identified as Abu Ibrahim Babatunde, reportedly walked into the ward, recognized the suspect and alerted security personnel. The men were subsequently taken into police custody. Babatunde was abducted alongside his younger brother Abu Tahir on January 2, 2026 at their residence on City Pride Road, Igbira Camp, Auchi, while they were opening their gate to their compound. Tragically, the body of his brother was recovered on January 5 near Oli River, along City Pride Road, Igbira Camp. He was reportedly killed by abductors. The Nigerian army has clarified that troops deployed to Amasiri community in Afikpo North local government area of Ebonyi State are there to protect residents and tackle criminal elements, not to invade the community. The army said the deployment followed the killing and beheading of 4 persons in Akporojo village and the discovery of shallow graves with mutilated bodies in Amasiri. According to the army, the operation is a joint security effort involving the military, police, DSS and NSCDC carrying out intelligence-led patrols, cordon and search operations and forensic exhumations. The army urged residents to disregard misinformation, assuring that the operation will continue until peace is restored and perpetrators are brought to justice. Meanwhile, the crisis is linked to a long-standing land dispute between Amasiri and neighboring Oso Eda community, Following the violence, Governor Francis Muefuru imposed a 20-hour curfew, shut schools, and dissolved Amasiri's leadership. This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Visually impaired student joined Katsina Quranic recitation competition. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. David Mark and Akpabio clash over electronic transmission of election results. And anti-snake venom victims urge free treatment as single vial hit 250,000 naira. Now moving on to more stories. Visually impaired students of the government schools for the blind in Katsina have once again proven that disability is not inability, as they took part in a Quranic recitation competition aimed at deepening religious knowledge and promoting moral values. The competition attracted over 20 students who competed in the 20, 10, and 5 Hizb categories. Trust TV's Abdullahi Ahmadi reports.
In an atmosphere filled with calm and soulful recitation of the Holy Quran, determination and hope were clearly on display as visually impaired students took turns reciting verses entirely from memory. The competition serves as a powerful reminder that knowledge knows no boundaries and that physical challenges do not limit spiritual growth or intellectual capacity. For these students, learning goes beyond the classroom. Despite the absence of sight, they continue to illuminate their lives through both Western and Islamic education, guided by faith, discipline, and resilience. The Quran, memorized through Braille, stands not only as a source of spiritual guidance, but also as a symbol of perseverance.
يا يحيى خذ الكتاب بقوة وآتيناه الحكم صبيا وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا
لا خير في كثير من نجواهم إلا من أمر بصدقة أو معروف أو إصلاح بين الناس.
Some of the participants described the competition as a source of motivation and confidence, saying it encourages them to believe in their abilities despite the daily challenges they face. Organizers of the event say the initiative is designed to instill moral values while empowering visually impaired students to contribute positively to society. According to them, empowering persons with disabilities will significantly reduce street begging and other social vices threatening the socio-economic stability of Katsina State and the northern region at large. They added that when given equal opportunities, persons living with disabilities can become productive members of the society rather than dependents. I am the leader of the visually impaired, Sarkim Makafi. I urged everyone to dedicate themselves to learning, which is a vital tool for achieving development. Be God-fearing, respect elders and leaders alike, and believe that the sky is not the limit but the beginning of endless possibilities.
I would also like to use this medium to urge to the government and the politicians, wealthy individuals, philanthropists, ulamas, and all general public to support such kind of individuals.
I want to acknowledge the efforts of the government in supporting the education of persons living with disabilities. I also appeal to wealthy individuals to support these children. Among them are brilliant minds who deserve encouragement and assistance to reach their full potential. At the end of the competition, winners emerged across the various categories and were presented with prizes to encourage them and inspire others to pursue knowledge regardless of physical limitations. For these students, the competition is more than a contest. It is a message of hope, dignity, and the transformative power of faith. Abdullahi Isma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
President Bola Tinubu will embark on a two-day state visit to the United Kingdom from March 18 to 19, following an official invitation from King Charles III. The British royal family announced that Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi Tinubu will be hosted by King Charles and Queen Camilla at Windsor Castle. Reacting to the announcement, the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said it will be the first state visit by a Nigerian leader to the UK in 37 years. The last being in 1989 when former military President Ibrahim Babangida was hosted by Queen Elizabeth. Tinubu and King Charles, who both assumed office in May 2023, have met several times, including in Dubai ahead of COP28 in 2023 and later Buckingham Palace in 2024. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has cancelled its sit-at-home order across the southeast, the group announced on Saturday. The decision follows a directive from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB's detained leader, instructing the group to suspend the action in the interest of peace and normal economic activities in the region. IPOB's leadership says the suspension aims to allow businesses and daily life to resume without disruption across the affected states.
This information is coming from the table of Triple General Igwe Botozo and Major General Gento de Yahoo and all the 40 state commanders in Biafra land. As the information reaching to my table to inform all Biafrans, order from the highest command of the Biafra Restoration Movement, Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has reached us that Monday sit at home is cancelled from today. Sit at home is a voluntarily and will not be enforced henceforth. Last Monday, sit at home, February 2nd of February, sit at home was a one-off event due to the Soludo's stupidity and will not happen again. Onitsha traders are Biafrans, and our children must return to school.
The Kano State Refuse Management and Sanitation Board, REMASAB, working with the Mobile Environmental Sanitation Court, has sealed a Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation depot in Hotoro for breaching sanitation laws. The enforcement exercise also targeted government institutions, commercial centers, private establishments, and public conveniences across the state. REMASAB Managing Director Muhammad Khalil said the operation aims to ensure compliance with sanitation regulations and protect public health. Other actions included sealing a construction site in Naibawa quarters for illegally dumping sand and stones on a public road, and fines imposed on offenders along IBB Way for obstructing road users. Khalil urged residents to adhere to environmental laws to avoid penalties and contribute to a cleaner, healthier Kano. The federal government has called on the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University community in Bauchi to take ownership of developmental projects executed for public benefit. The appeal was made by the Minister of Regional Development, Uba Amadou, during the handing over of a new fire service facility, a project executed under the Northeast Development Commission. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
During a royal visit, the delegation, including National Assembly members and NEDC officials, was received by the Emir at his palace. He expressed confidence that the Commission's creation will remain a milestone in the development of the Northeast.
Today we have seen most of our youth arriving to the pinnacle of success, so whereby the services ended by the Commission now. So we appreciate you for that now. So it is on record, Your Excellency, that the Northeast Development Commission play a vital role in the development of the region. In fact, they brought our region on the map, not just as a black beacon. So they are performing well, they are doing the needful.
Responding, the Minister of State for Regional Development, Obama Igari Amadou, stressed the importance of synergy and prudent management of resources through effective appropriation.
We have 7 commissions now already created, equally divided amongst us, with primary responsibility of following up on allocations from the legislature to such commissions so that we ensure the purpose for which the monies are appropriated are judiciously utilized.
At the formal handover, 2 key facilities were commissioned: a new edifice at Mega Secondary School along Jos Bauchi Road and the Emergency Medicine Center at Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital. The state governor, represented by his deputy, urged continued interventions to alleviate the suffering of people in the region, especially victims of insurgency.
The Commission had a kind of holistic approach to develop the infrastructures that were destroyed, to rebuild, as well as to ensure the empowerment of manpower. Hence, one of its roles is to provide technical skills, provision of essential needs such as food, assorted food items, and many more.
The delegation also inspected the abandoned ophthalmology center at the teaching hospital. Consultant explained the delays, which the Northeast Development Commission addressed, assuring the minister of the steps needed for completion. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Adamawa State government has commissioned a newly constructed cottage hospital in Fofore local government area, reaffirming its commitment to expanding access to quality health care at the grassroots. The facility is expected to cater to residents of Fofore and surrounding communities as the state intensifies efforts to strengthen its health infrastructure. Trust TV's Gibson Swadigu reports.
Announcing the arrival of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State.
Standing tall in the heart of Fofore, the newly built cottage hospital represents another milestone in Adamawa State's drive to bring essential health care services closer to rural communities.
It's a privilege and honor to commission this cottage hospital to the service of humanity to our health.
Commissioning the facility, Governor Mulmul Fintri described the hospital as a strategic investment aimed at strengthening primary health care delivery and reducing the burden on tertiary institutions. The ultra-modern cottage hospital is among several healthcare projects executed across local government areas of Adamawa State. It boasts modern medical equipment, including X-ray machines, a fully stocked pharmacy, an operating theater, and well-equipped wards designed to meet both basic and emergency healthcare needs.
We had a lot of shortage in this area for medical officers, but now I think the hospital have been energized with the recent employment.
We in Fufore local government area, we have remained committed and focused on ensuring our people benefit from the dividend of democracy, sir.
For the governor, the healthcare remains a top priority, particularly in rural and border communities where access to medical services has long been a challenge.
This has been our concern to ensure that we bring healthcare service delivery closer to the people, quality one. And today we are happy to witness another milestone of ensuring that we commissioned what we have started, fully equipped, fully managed, and you are also aware we have recruited new doctors, new health workers, and they are fully managing this hospital.
For residents, the hospitals bring renewed hope, promising improved access to timely and affordable health care. The state government has also revealed plans to upgrade the cottage hospital to a general hospital in the near future. Gibson Soadugu, Trust TV News, Yola.
You are still watching News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after the break. Welcome back. And now in business, Nigeria's electricity supply crisis and weak transmission infrastructure has been flagged in the 2026 International Energy Agency IEA electricity report. The report says periodic power shortages and transmission bottlenecks persist in Nigeria, showing the need for faster grid upgrades alongside new power generation capacity. Across Africa, electricity demand rose by 5.2% in 2025, driven by improved supply and effort to expand access. However, demand growth is increasingly running into limits in generation capacity and grid infrastructure. The International Energy Agency notes that Nigeria is expanding electricity access, especially through off-grid and distributed solar solutions, but major challenges remain. Now, away from Nigeria, leaders of Uganda and Tanzania met at State House in Dar es Salaam, seeking to strengthen cooperation between the two East African neighbors. President Samia Suluhu Hassan and her Ugandan counterpart, Yoweri Museveni, focused discussions on trade, infrastructure, and regional peace, highlighting decades-long ties dating back to independence in the 1960s. Hassan confirmed that the $5 billion East African crude oil pipeline project remains on schedule, with oil export from Uganda expected to commence in July. Both leaders described the pipeline as a symbol of strong bilateral relations and also discussed plans to integrate rail networks, construct natural gas and petroleum pipelines, and reduce trade barriers. Museveni's visit follows his re-election to a 7th term in Uganda, while it marks the first foreign head of state visit to Tanzania since President Hassan's disputed October 2026 poll victory. And now in sport, the National Sports Commission (NSC) has pledged full support for Nigeria's hosting of All Africa Challenge Trophy in November 2026 at the IBB International Golf and Country Club, Abuja. NSC Chairman Shehu Diko gave the assurance while meeting with a delegation of the Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria, ELGAN, which secured the hosting rights. The association's president, Lami Onai Ahmed, disclosed the achievement as a major feat and sought government support to successfully stage the tournament. Diko said hosting the event aligns with President Bola Tinubu's vision of growing Nigeria's sport economy, noting that international tournaments create jobs, boost tourism, and improve Nigeria's image across Africa. And with that, we've come to the end of the News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and also watch us live for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Idris Daye Bature, thanking you for being with us. Good night.